Okay, okay. First things first. That's how we're supposed to win. That's how. Okay, look. Okay, first things first. Let me get some background information. I'm making this video Sunday morning. I thought I was gonna make this Saturday night, but when I got back to my house, I booted up my laptop and I was like, you know what? I'm too tired. If you didn't know, or well, obviously you didn't know because I didn't say anything. The reason why I didn't do a Clippers game recap, like, and upload it immediately up to YouTube after it was after the game was over was because I was out of the house celebrating my brother's prom, and there was like a prom party with food and stuff like that. So outside of the house, I didn't even have my laptop on me anyways. So yeah, but I still caught the game. I tried to watch as most as I could, which essentially I did. I watched most of the second half and I caught like most of the second quarter really. First quarter was it was kind of like I was barely seeing some, barely seeing anything. So yeah, but mostly kind of second quarter on, I saw the entire game and stuff like that. But yeah, but obviously you guys are getting this Sunday, so no complaints. Anyways, Los Angeles Clippers yesterday won, if not one of their biggest games of the season. Well, now Monday's going to be the biggest game of the season too, by the score of 132 to 106. They blow out the Jazz, and well, it's about time we finally won a game in this series. If you go back and ask me all these other times, it's just like the Dallas Mavericks series. And they just got their crap together and hit their shots when they needed to hit their shots in games one and two. And they didn't play so stupidly on the defensive side of the ball. We might be up the same as the Phoenix Suns are up on Denver, 3-0. Anyways, um, look, this game was good for all the right reasons for the Clippers. We hit our open shots. We actually played some semblance of defense. We actually had a defensive game plan against Donovan Mitchell for at least a half, you could say that. Um, and our star players showed up like we expect them to show up. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George scored 65 points together. Hmm. That's the same thing like the Dallas series. And that's the same thing that the Clippers, those two star players, need to give us every night if we're going to come out and win this series. Honestly, if we're going to come out and win the West, the Clippers star players have to at least combine for around 50 to 60 points. Hell, I'll take it if it's even more. If we're jumping into like 70 points combined at least, that's even great. That's even better. But the one thing I can tell by this game for our star players is they cannot have an off night. They cannot have an off night where they're just barely getting to 20 points and they're just like, they're casually getting there. And two, it starts early. You see how in this game, when Paul George was on fire to start the game early, he was already locked in. It helped the other team, it helped the other players like Kawhi Leonard, who heated up later in the game, as well as other role players in the Clippers to step up and hit their shots, just like Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz. And with Donovan Mitchell, since guess what? The Clippers had a defensive game plan set around him. Lo and behold, look at this. He has 0 points in the first quarter. Yeah, it was still a pretty fairly close first quarter, but Clippers, I believe, still ended the first quarter with the lead. Mostly because you had Donovan Mitchell held to 0 points, and he didn't really get clicking offensively to start off the game, which also helps the other opposing team. It wasn't until like I think like the I don't know when, but it was like I think it was near the 5 minute mark when he finally scored points or something like that. Um, so listen, my thing with Donovan Mitchell is the dude's insane at making these tough ass shots, which make no fucking sense. Let's get something straight. Some of these Jazz players hitting these tough shots, man, it's starting to get on my last damn nerves. them hitting a contested three when there's practically no better defense you could play on them, and they still make it. It's just asinine. But then again, it goes. This is a team that that's their game. That's their game plan. They just chuck up threes and they hope it goes in. And 9 out of 10 times it does go in. Um, so yeah, that's the only thing about Donovan Mitchell that did irritate me. Now, hopefully Donovan Mitchell's not hurt, even though he says he's fine, but he'll probably be fine, even though, in my opinion, I saw this man on my TV screen limping out with a whole bag of ice on his ankle. You can't be that good if you definitely are limping with a bag of ice on that ankle. I don't know what the hell happened there. He must have tweaked it or something like that, or he must have planted wrong when he came down on that layup. But okay. Um, I hope for game here. Here's a game for a point of emphasis. Maybe when the Clippers are on offense, test that ankle out to see if it's really good, and you go out Donovan Mitchell. I think that would make the most sense. Test that ankle out and consistently do it until the Jazz wants to start double teaming it to help him out. I personally think it might end up to the benefit of the Clippers. Just go at him. So in game 4, I think you need to expect, and hopefully an adjustment is made to where, okay, Donovan Mitchell looks like he might have a bum ankle. Let's go at this guy and let's see if he really can hold himself defensively. Because I think Mitchell's an average defender, but he isn't like an all worldly defender, and stuff like that. But yeah, the Clippers essentially mostly had complete control of this game, the entire way. Like, you know, there were a few times where the Jazz tried to get themselves back in the game, but the Clippers kind of had the lead from then on there. And again, speaking about Donovan Mitchell, the Clippers had an actual defensive game plan. You know, it wasn't really much drop coverage I saw when they brought Zoo in. They literally made Zoo step up some more. There was some drop coverage occasionally now and then, but it's like against a 3-point shooting team, you can't do drop coverage. You're going to have to tell your center to go up and press up on the shooter because guess what? If they're just going to chuck up a three, why drop? You're really scared of Rudy Gobert beating you offensively. Honestly, I wouldn't mind just them always pushing into the paint with Rudy Gobert because guess what? That's them getting twos as opposed to threes and stuff like that. Offensively was much better. We actually hit our wide open shots for crying out loud. We didn't brick those, and then two, they started targeting freaking Gobert. As good as Gobert defensively he is. Although you can't say he isn't that good defensively, but regardless, he's a 3 defensive player of the year winner. So they found a target where they managed to get him dropping too much, and if he wants to drop too much, because hey, I want to protect the rim, well then you just have a wide open 3-point or a wide open mid range shot, and they kept continuously targeting that, and every time he freaking backs up the Clipper players, whether it was a Paul George or Kawhi Leonard, which their mid-range shots are pretty good, especially Kawhi Leonard's. And we're like, well, if you're gonna let me have the mid-range shot, then I'll just take it. So maybe that's more of a thing of getting Gobert in some pick and rolls to where now you can, I guess you can say, target him a bit in the offense from a jump shooting perspective, since he drops so much, because that's going to give listen, if you're going to drop so much and you have open space, man, just pull it, and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely liked. Another thing I did like is Terrence Mann was in the rotation. So I don't know if that was a bluff or a lie by Ty Lue after game 2's post game where he said Terrence Mann is on the rotation. Because again, Terrence Mann is proving, why kick this man out of the rotation when he's been one of the most positive things this entire season? And two, he actually influences the game in a good way. I rarely see Terrence Mann do bad things. And I said the one bad thing I saw Terrence Mann do was that pass up for a pretty simple layup in the last series. So I don't know why. We definitely need more Terrence Mann. It seems like Terrence Mann kicked DeMarcus Cousins out of the rotation. So I'm guessing the rotation now is gonna be Kawhi, PG. Uh, well, we'll talk about Morris soon and my thoughts on Morris. Morris, Batum, Reggie Jackson, Zoo, Bev, Kennard, and Man. I think that's going to be the set rotation in this series, to be honest. And personally, I'm fine with it. Could you say if you're obviously the one thing you're asking is Rondo, you could say maybe sprinkle Rondo in there a bit, but it depends too. It depends with that thing because Rondo has not played well at all in this series. As well as the fact that the last few playoff games he hasn't done a really good job. So I don't blame Ty Lue kicking him out of the rotation because you don't need him. If you win this series and move on to presumably what we believe is going to be more than likely Phoenix, maybe you can give him another run in the Phoenix series and see, hey, is he going to be playoff Rondo? Is he going to be bum Rondo? We'll see. I love Rondo, and I was glad when they traded for him. But I'm not going to lie, he hasn't been good in the last few playoff games he's been playing, mostly because those turnovers kill us and really, he doesn't really give us anything offensively. Yeah, he'll give you an occasional three and everything, but that's what they want you to do. They want you to have Rondo shoot. And yes, they'll live with him making an abnormal three. But I like the fact that Terrence Mann is in the rotation. Um, Another thing I did like, rotation defense was also good too. I did like rotation defense. Sometimes the rotation defense after doubling Donovan Mitchell was pretty good, and stuff like that. Um, some things I still think the Clippers could do a little bit better is just rebounding. There's few times in this game where the Clippers just do that typical Clipper thing where they stand idly by and they just like the opposing team misses the shot and they're like this. Oh, he got the rebound back. They got the offensive rebound, and then they put it back. And they kick it out for three. I don't know what's up with the Clippers players or something about that, but somebody can tell them they can't go get the ball. I hate when an opposing team misses the shot, and it's clearly to the point where everybody's boxed out. All the Clippers would do is move and go get the rebound, but they just stand around like clueless idiots and are like, yeah, I'm just gonna let that ball go past me instead of just go with the hustle and go get it. You do know you can go get the rebound. There was one sense where everything but like literally was like the entire paint area was blocked out and the ball literally bounced through the paint. The closest person was I believe Marcus Morris. He could have literally left from boxing out, go bare and go and have gotten the ball. No idea why we still have this rebounding issue where we're very lazy with rebounding. Um, I don't think rebounding. I believe if you don't rebound the ball, you're not going to get very far in the playoffs. This has been an issue with the Clippers the past 2 years. It hasn't started this year. Trust me, I've watched these guys. So they need to do a better job at rebounding, please. Um, so yeah. Listen, as I'm getting to just really the stat lines. Oh, and then one more thing. Obviously the Derek Favors targeting. Yeah, keep that up until Utah, presumably, I'm guessing, goes small with their bench rotation. Because I think that's the only counter to Derek Favors obviously play. Because obviously he's a mismatch for any Clippers player, especially a skilled Clippers player that can drive. Because all they do is just dribble, 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 and then they just drive past him. Or really, that's what you just do whenever freaking Derek Favors in the game. Just drive past him because he's too slow defensively to recover. So clearly, the Clippers found a matchup when, guess what? Derek Favors on the court, which shockingly Ty Lue announced that strategy in the pregame, which why would you announce that publicly? Now your opponents are probably going to go small, which I would not be shocked if I expect Quinn Snyder to with their bench to go small, to just switch everything and get to the point where guess what? Now we don't have a defensive liability in Derek Favors where we have a score where Paul George and Kawhi Leonard can score on us with utter ease. Anyways, let's get into the stats. The Jazz, Royce O'Neal had 12 points for 4-8. Same field shooting from three. Um, Although most of those threes were like either wide open threes because idiots keep coming. For some reason, the Clippers have idiotic reasons for sending a third defender to come crash down when if some Jazz player drives into the paint, there's already two guys right there. The initial guy that was guarding him and somebody that was just chilling in the paint, probably next to guarding Gobert. And for some dumb reason, and the Clippers coaches need to tell these players stop crashing down, which is the third guy who's on a 3-point shooter to stop coming down for some normal reason. You're not going to do anything. Stay on your 3-point shooter, and instead, that's when you have guys like Joe Ingles or Donovan Mitchell kick it out to a wide open 3-point shooter. Probably that's what was happening with Royce O'Neal, and he makes you pay for it. Now you'll live with the Royce O'Neal threes because he's not going to hit every one of them. But come on, man, can we stop sending these 3-man triple teams? Stay on your man and just stay home. We don't need a third defender coming crashing down. That's another thing that irks me about the Clippers defense. They, for some odd reason, they have the utter nuisance of saying, we need to bring 3 guys down to pack the paint and force them out. Well, you have 2 guys there. I think I like my chances with 2-on-1. I don't know why they always send a third defender down, or a third defender just casually comes down because you just leave a wide open shooter. What defense is that? If I was a coach on that side, I would be replaying the film and say, why? This isn't necessary. Stay home. Whoever that is, and I continuously rat out whoever that, and call whoever that. Why are you coming down? You don't need to do that. He had 12 points. Okay, yeah. Royce O'Neal, he'll occasionally get you 12 points. You'll live with that. Bogdanovich, 2 of 10 from the field, 1 of 5 from 3. 4 rebounds, 1 assist, 9 points. I'll take that because he's one of the prolific scorers in their offense. You can shut down Bogdanovich and he's not killing you with 15 plus points. Fine, I'll take it. That's good. That's what you can ask for. Gobert, obviously, he had 12 points. I'm not really going to run through the stat line, but the one important thing is he had 10 rebounds as opposed to the last game where he had 20 rebounds. You can keep this guy off the boards. It keeps the chances of these guys obviously have extra chance points, as well as it also goes to show that you're actually hitting your baskets where he can be collecting rebounds. So another good thing to limit. But 12 points from him, you can live with that. Joe Ingles was the second leading scorer as opposed to Donovan Mitchell. 19 points, 6-11 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Joe Ingles, he's just a nuisance. Also, like PG said in his post-game press conference, he doesn't really care about him because guess what? That's just it is what it is. It's just play. So yeah. Joe Ingles was solid, but again, like I said, you can live with Joe Ingles killing you unless he's dropping damn near 20. I still think 19 is too high of him to have, but hey, it's better than nothing. At least this time they didn't really leave Ingles wide open for 3 like they did in game 2 and stuff like that. Donovan Mitchell in 32 minutes. He had 30 points. Although I do think this was probably his worst game in the series played up to this point because he had like 0 points after the first quarter. If not getting hurt, maybe the game's a little closer near the tail end. I still believe the Clippers pull it out, but it's probably a little bit closer. But he came down with an ankle injury. He says he's good, but personally, I don't think that ankle's good. I think if you tweak an ankle, that it's going to be hurt, and especially where you just have really 1 day of rest. But the Jazz essentially set him down for like the rest of the game after that occurred. So it'll probably be a little bit better, but still probably not as good. I mean, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and again, only 30 points. He'll live with that. Cool. I guess you can say, even though he was heating up in the second half, you can say he barely got to 30 points. So yeah. Niang, not really good. He wasn't solid this game at all. He honestly didn't do much of anything. Now there's a guy from the bench that had 0 points. Derek Favors only had 2 points in 15 minutes. Okay. And then Jordan Clarkson, 5 of 6 from the field, 4 of 9 from 3. Obviously, this was worse shooting. He only had 14 points. Bad better than him having 20 points. Good, you know? And that's kind of the thing. The Clippers defense played much better. You can clearly see that the Clippers defense played much better, especially after the Jazz went on an eight, like 3 run or something like that. They started the game off with 8 points, and it was looking like, oh shit, it's the same rinse and repeat bullshit. We've been seeing them from the last 2 games, and the Clippers just turned it on these guys, and they were smooth sailing for the rest of the game. Now let's get to the Clippers starters. Batum, 17 points, 7 rebounds, 2 assists. Batum was back inserted into the starting lineup, presumably probably because Zoo keeps dropping so much, and it gets Donovan Mitchell into obviously a rhythm. You can't have that. So they go back to the Nicholas Batum in the starting lineup. I think from this point on, just play small. Honestly, I would not mind if the rest of the damn playoffs, they just go small and they just have Zoo come off the bench. Personally, if you ask me, the small ball when Batum starting in the lineup works. So if the Clippers do make it to the Western Conference Finals, I'd say just gives the same exact small ball lineup against Phoenix. Yes, DeAndre Ayton will punish you probably on the boards, but if he punishes you on the boards that much, that's where you can make the adjustment to put in a center, which actually I'll speak up on Serge at the end of the video too. Totally forgot that. But again, Nicholas Batum, what more can I say? He's just good. He's just good. Nicholas Batum, hitting his offensive, obviously, his threes, and his defense is solid. Again, what more can you ask for Nicholas Batum to give you? You can say he's outplayed his contract. I hope he comes back for another, pay cut of a contract. But yeah, Kawhi Leonard, he wasn't really heated up in the first half, but in the second half, that's when he turned it on. Kawhi Leonard finished with 34 points, 14 to 24 from the field, only hit one of his 3-pointers, had 12 rebounds, 5 assists. We did double-double tonight. This is the Kawhi Leonard we need in this series. The Kawhi Leonard that's getting up to like 28 slash the 30-point area stuff like that. Now, I know he can't. It's rare that we see like a 45-point game like we saw in the last series, but we need Kawhi Leonard to get shots like where he has 24 shots. Like, look at this. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard both had 24 shots attempted. So that is 48 both shot attempts made. That's much better because if you look at the past 2 games, they weren't getting to this. Like the highest guy who was shooting the ball with the most, shots attempted was Reggie Jackson. That's what the Clippers need to do. They need the Clippers star players need to be aggressive. Kawhi Leonard needs to be more aggressive and shoot more. Guess what? You got a pretty good shooting night from Kawhi Leonard. And 2, if you're on, you're on. And Kawhi Leonard dropped 34 points. We need more of that. Thank you very much. So good. And then 2, he picked up Donovan Mitchell early on defensively, which I like because now it's like, well, you're down 2-0. Do it. Take the initiative to guard their best player since you are presumably the best defender on our team. Marcus Morris Sr. If you ask me, out of all the players, was Zoo's kind of up there for maybe the worst tonight, but I thought Zoo was serviceable to say the least. But Marcus Morris Sr., he struggled with yet another game shooting from the field. Well, he had 3 of 5 from just 2, but still struggled from 3. 0-2. So let me run down the series. The shooting series from 3 for Marcus Morris. Game 2, he was 1 of 14. Now he's 1 of 16 from 3. Now, the one thing I will give Ty Lue his credit is this. 1, he told Marcus Morris to make a damn shot now. Marcus Morris made 3 shots, which was 6 points, but you're a starter only scoring 6 points and we're paying you how much money? $64 million to score 6 points in 22 minutes? You deserve to get your minutes cut down, not to be in that 30 minutes area, because guess what? You ain't doing nothing for us. So credit to Ty Lue for sitting Morris down, essentially a part in the third quarter, and just putting Kennard and Terrence Mann in there because they were more serviceable than frickin' Marcus Morris. Luke Kennard, he had 6 points. Terrence Mann had 7. That's 13 points combined between those two, which in a grand total scheme of thing, Marcus Morris should be at least getting you around 13 to 15 points a game. But no, he's still missing shots. I don't know what the fuck happened to his 3-point shot. His 3-point shot is honestly dead. He's only made one 3-point. He's honestly made one 3-pointer in this series, and that's not good. So I expect Morris's minutes to be severely cut going forward. It's getting, again, personally, if you ask me, if I feel like if he's not hitting anything, just sit the dude and bench him. If he's not going to give me nothing from three, well, whatever. Okay, fine. 3 or 5 from the field, okay, it's okay, but I expect you to do more. You're getting paid too much money to score 6 points in the starting lineup. At least get to 10, and I'll say, okay, it was a serviceable performance. I'll take it. But this man's got to start hitting his threes, man. 1 of 16 from 3 isn't going to cut it. I'm just going to get this straight. That's basically unplayable if you can't hit a 3 in this offense, because that's kind of what this offense is geared around. Missed a few wide open shots from 3 again. And guess what? Now you're 1 of 16 from the field. He's still fucking cold. He's been cold this entire damn playoff run. Again, I don't know what happened to one of the best 3-point shooters in regular season. And now he can't buy a shot to save his fucking life. And it's really starting to piss me off. Personally, I would have just, if it was me, I would have just benched the bum. And I would have told him, you're not going to hit shots from me. You're not going to hit your 3-point shots. Then why the point am I going to be playing you? 6 points, trust me, I'd be up in the film room telling this guy, 6 points is too low for you. You should at least get up to 10. Because every other starter was in double figures except him. Reggie Jackson and Nicholas Batum both had 17 points. Kawhi Leonard, 34. Paul George, 31. He's the only outlier. We still won in a blowout, but still. If the game was closer, we need some of your shots, man. So hopefully he gets better. Otherwise, I'm getting to the point where I think it's time to start benching his ass. Or hopefully he's just focusing so much on the defensive side of the ball. Reggie Jackson, another serviceable performance. 17 points, 3 assists, 1 rebound. Again, Reggie Jackson in this series has, I can't believe I'm saying this, been masterful. It's the same thing like I said in game 2. He's probably been like, you would say, if you look at the grand scheme of thing of the total, would have been the Clippers' best player. He honestly been, in my opinion, the Clippers' best player in this entire series. Yes, I know Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, but they've only had Kawhi Leonard and Paul George had their first great game in this series. Reggie Jackson's been a dominant killer. So, listen, more positive Reggie play, I'll take it. Better than nothing. Paul George, great. He finally had a great game for once in his life. He finally had a game where we expect him to play. 31 points, 12 of 24 from the field, hit 6 of his 10 3-point shots, 5 assists, and 3 rebounds. I expect this of a Paul George on the daily basis in every playoff game. Again, you hear it from every commentator, every person, whatever. We all know Paul George has the stuff. We all know Paul George has the stuff to drop 31 points on your head any given night. We just need to see him do it consistently. We can't, which means in game 4, he can't have an off night. He needs to have around this type of mileage of points. They're to the lower 20s, high upper 30s. And then when he's on, he's on. And we know when he's off, he's off. But I saw more aggressive Paul George, willing to take shots, had more confidence in his shot, wasn't as hesitant as he was in the first 2 games, and he wasn't afraid of the moment. When that first shot got in, he saw it. He made a freaking contested shot over Bogdan Bogdanovic. You'll take that. He was driving to the rim with some conviction, and that's what we need. Paul George to shoot the ball and play an offensive game efficiently. Not like in game 2 where he got 27 points, but we could clearly see he was bad. It wasn't a good 27 points. Only thing I care about is Paul George when it comes to scoring his points is this. Are you efficient offensively doing it? If you're not efficient doing it, where at a point of the game you're like 1 of 16 from the field and you have 20 points, that isn't efficient enough. You need to impact the game offensively on percentages for your field goals. There you go. So hopefully in game 4, Paul George brings the same type of play because we need him and Kawhi to do that. And I feel like Paul George, playing like he did in the first half where he dropped 20 first half points, it took off a lot of the shoulders off Kawhi Leonard to where now Kawhi Leonard in the second half, you saw him get going. He's like, okay, yeah, now we can get it going collectively together. Zoo only played 13 minutes, 3 points, 6 rebounds. He was all right. Like I said, serviceable to say the least. Patrick Beverly, 7 points. Most of the points came in garbage time, 2 or 3 from the field. But again, defensively, he was serviceable. Again, great. His defense was good for us. Offensively, still got some things to work on. But if I know Patrick Beverly is going to give me defensive minutes to where it's like, oh, these are servable defensive plays from him, I'll take it. The combination of Terrence Mann and Luke Kennard, what more can we ask for? T-Man, we thought he was out of the rotation, and Clipper fans around my circle knew that was just a dumbass statement by freaking Ty Lue to say, oh, Terrence Mann is going to be out of the rotation. Why? 22 minutes, 7 points, 2 of 5 from the field, hit one of his 3-point shots. Then one of those were in garbage time, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Again, it's like I said earlier about Terrence Mann in this video. Terrence Mann, 9 out of 10 times, barely does anything bad for this team. He barely finds any ways to hurt this team. Every time I see Terrence Mann play, he plays damn near perfect, to be honest. Like, okay, yeah, maybe there's a few times he has those lapses defensively and stuff like that. But if we're being honest, he's like the one Clipper player that plays practically perfect. And this isn't this is a guy that needs to be in the playoff rotation. Good things happen when he's in the game. And I don't know why we consistently take him out of it. He plays solid defense, and he's willing to take on the challenge of guarding an opposing team's best player, which goes to show you he's not afraid. And, he slashes, he cuts, and he has a pretty solid offense. Again, more minutes to this guy. He deserves it. And again, in the same amount of minutes as Marcus Morris Sr. So they're definitely cut the Cousins minutes out of that, as well as they cut some of the Marcus Morris minutes and gave those to Kawhi and Luke Kennard. And speaking of Luke Kennard, even though defensively he isn't the best, I still think he's playing serviceable defense. Obviously, the Jazz are still targeting him, but I think he's holding his own to an extent. But the one thing I like on the offensive side of the ball in the playoffs, we have, much as we've seen Kennard in the playoffs, is I'm just telling you, I'm guessing they just told this guy, dude, if you touch the ball, just shoot it. Or if that's just him where he knows he's not going to get a lot of good looks, he's just going to pull it. But this guy, man, listen, give him props to Luke. Let's give props to Luke Kennard. When the season first started and halfway across the season, it was really, a few times in the regular season, we saw Luke Kennard be very hesitant. He would pump fake and he wouldn't really pull the trigger when he had good looks and stuff like that. Even sometimes later in the back half of the season, he wasn't really pulling looks. He was pulling the looks with conviction, but not as much as he's doing here. In the playoffs, this man, the moment he touches the ball and he has a good look, he's pulling that like at the stem of my finger. And can I just say this? I like that, where he's shooting with conviction, he's shooting with aggressiveness. Maybe he caught some of that Reggie Jackson being unfazed. Good. If Luke Kennard's going to give me, serviceable points, yeah, 6 points is all right. But that's 2 threes right there. Good. And if he's even more than that, I'll take it even more. Obviously, he's going to be more of a main staple next year. than this year. But I just love how Luke Kennard is more willing to be more confident in his shooting. Like every time he has a good look from three, he's just pulling it. And he's actually hitting his three shots like Marcus Morris should hit his 3-point shots. So yeah. But that's kind of it for the Clippers. Again, the Clippers players played much better in game 3 than game 2, 1 and 2 combined, honestly, if you ask me. And on Monday, Clippers got, again, probably their biggest game of the season because they lose that. They go down 3-1 going to Utah. And I don't like my chances there unless the Clippers can pull an Clippers thing. So they have to win game 4 to type the series, and essentially it's going to be like damn near similarly to the Dallas series. And all the Clippers have to do is just they have to win one game in Utah, whether it would be game 5 or game 7, if they can force it to a game 7 in the series. So obviously it's going to be one game at a time. I have a sneaking suspicion that Mike Conley is going to be coming back for game 4 because, listen, I said this, I think in my last game recap, why continuously play Mike Conley if you haven't lost in the series? I have a sneaking suspicion that they're going to play Mike Conley because secretly Mike Conley's been fine. They've just been resting him for some BS reason. But we'll see. Hopefully, for my sanity as a Clippers fan, he's out. So then you can tie up the series. But then again, that would lead me to believe that he would be definitely playing game 5. But yeah. Now, speaking of injuries, Serge Ibaka. If you didn't hear the news, which every Clipper fan heard the news, Serge Ibaka had to go down with season-ending back surgery. And let me just say this. I don't know if I said it on any of my videos, but I called it. I knew there was something more messed up with Serge Ibaka's back than it initially was reported. Because trust and believe, this guy's back. This guy had back spasms, or lower back tightness, back in March. And he's been out ever since the last 2 games of the season. And then played 2 games in playoffs, and his back just magically flared up, and it was classified as back spasms. Clearly, something was more wrong with his back than it initially was reported back in March with lower back tightness. He must have strained his back really bad or something. But again, you can ask the question if you want to be the pessimistic type of fan. He was making all these music videos and TikTok videos in his damn hot tub. So what the hell are you telling me his back is killing him? I don't know. Listen, I blame most of the diagnosis on the medical staff for the Clippers, which is Jason Powell and his staff. Just come out with the official injury. Just say the dude just strained his back or broke his back or something like that. It was much more serious injury. So, yeah. And then another thing is, if this back issue was totally a big thing, why did they not give him back surgery back in March? Maybe he would have been able to come back for the playoffs. Maybe there would have been a chance. Probably not, but maybe there would have been a slight puncher's chance he'd have been ready for the playoffs. But why don't we just give this guy surgery in April or latter half of March? No idea. See, this is why you need to come out with the official injury instead of saying, oh, he just had lower back tightness. Because in my head as a fan, I see lower back tightness. Oh, he'll probably be out 2 to 3 games, and he'll be back by the 4th or 5th game. But this guy missed a whole 3 months. Comes back, and then he only re-aggravates that injury. So clearly, it was something wrong. I think he must have strained his back. I think he must have strained his back worse than what they initially thought. And they're like, oh shit, he must have strained his back. Listen, anyways, at the end of the day, as much as I was going to critique how the Serge injury was handled by the medical staff, hopefully Serge Ibaka recovers and comes back from the injury healthy as can be. It just sucks that essentially your marquee signing as the replacement to Montrezl Harrell is out now because guess what? He hurt his back at the wrong time. So yeah, we'll see what's in store for him. I know I think he has an opt out, so it will depend. I don't think he'll opt out, but we'll see. But hopefully, he recovers from his back injury and he's able to have a full healthy season next year. Hopefully for the Clippers if he doesn't opt out. Anyways, that's kind of it. So Listen, I kind of said I said one on this game, so that's just kind of it. Again, I guess you can say sorry for the late day upload. Again, I was out, but I think you guys should understand. Anyways, other than that, I'm gonna get out of here. If you guys like the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this game threes Clippers. Did you like it? Did you like what you see with the Clippers? Clippers have a chance if they tap the series now. They got to win one more game to tap the series. But yeah, it's great to have this W, but job's not done yet. You gotta now the most important game of the season is game 4. On Monday. So you gotta go win that to go tie the series. Otherwise you're down 3-1. So yeah, which funny enough, again, backs against the wall. Clippers surprisingly seem like they like the pressure. Oh, okay. Maybe if we get down, maybe if we do win this series and we go down 2-0, maybe I should just be like, you know what? I'm not worried. We'll win game 3. Okay. Anyways, yeah, put in the comment section your thoughts on this game. Your thoughts if the Clippers can tie the series. Well, and set that subscribe button to get more Clippers game recaps going forward for the rest of the series. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here, guys. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day or night or when you check out this video. Until then, guys, I'll see you guys for Monday's game recap against the Jazz. Hopefully, after the Clippers tie up the series. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Hopefully, you guys have a great rest of your day. And I know I said that again. So, till then, guys, peace.